let's turn to what's been going on with the Republican sweeps, I guess, this week. I mean, yeah, well, there's two different dynamics that are going on here that are really sort of interesting in some respects. One is we continue to see some real legitimate positive things coming out of the Obama administration. I mean, we've talked about net neutrality this week. There was obviously we also talked about the sort of earlier in the week this notion of this corporate tax giveaway that the president has more or less offered in his budget. But there were other aspects of that budget that were also very positive in some respects. And meanwhile, on the right, their election has started. Romney's out. Chris Christie now has another investigation following a couple of stories about how the guy has basically been, and you and I have talked about this, I know, over the years quite a bit, how he loved, they used to call him like Ritz-Carlton Christie or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's so corrupt. I just, when somebody's able to present an image and the media buys it for so long that he was going to be this corruption buster in his position in New Jersey, that he is so at odds with the truth. I mean, that this guy was the guy who most often had no explanation for going above budget when he traveled as a U.S. attorney. And of all 50 U.S. attorneys, he was the one, and then that story, right, the Times is pointing out how the King of Jordan's paying $30,000 a night for him to stay in a hotel in Jordan. And
going to parties with Bono, which also is just sort of perfect in a way. Like,
right.
I love the idea of Bono going and partying with the King of Jordan. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's nice. And Sheldon Adelson flying him pretty much here, there, everywhere. I think he went to Israel on a trade mission of sorts. Sheldon Adelson flew him out there. That's more recently, obviously, this stuff with Jerry Jones. I mean, this guy is just this sort of shameless grifter who all this stuff is ethically questionable. But some of it, obviously, as you just pointed out, now another one of these cases. I mean, there's so many. The patterns are so clear with this guy. That another attorney who he had fired or pushed out because the attorney wanted to widen the probe into some of Christie's cronies for potential wrongdoing, and so he threatened the guy not to, and then fired him, and for no good cause. I mean, how many investigations? How many ethics probes, investigations? I mean, how many can one person have? He's not going to go anywhere. He is toast in the end. And that's why I wonder, if with Romney gone, if he's out of the way, you've just got, Jebby sitting there, and I guess Walker can be embraced by them. That's why I was saying this stuff to you, even though you seem to disagree with me, that there could be a spot for Rubio. But we'll see.
Well, yeah, you're not the only person who says that, but I think it's unlikely. I mean, I guess it's conceivable the guy could be a VP, but I think I think he's going to have to pay the piper on that immigration stuff. Walker seems to me is the one guy who in the Republicans who has sort of establishment leanings and support and doesn't have to apologize for anything he's done in the past. In the way that,
it's amazing how he's pulling it off.
Yes, like Jeb Bush, I think is going to have to turn himself into a pretzel about immigration. Same with Rubio, but let's just. I want to stay on Christie for one more moment because there's one other element that I think that people aren't clear about with Christie. I mean, presuming he's not literally indicted by the time you get to the debates. The other thing that became clear, too, and that stuff that was released about that story in the Times on Monday, is that there are a couple of people who were his close confidants who he threw over in a quite public way, right? I mean, there's his old buddy from high school and this and that. And if you dig into these stories about Christie, what you will find is that there was a woman who keeps coming up in these stories. And there was a story back in 2009, I think, about how he had loaned her $40,000 and given her a job. And she is now, I don't have the New York Times article in front of me, but she's now the head of another new organization that sponsors all these trips, like New Jersey Outreach or something like that sponsors all of these foreign trips. and presumably she goes on these trips too. Let me just put it this way, so that I don't have to tax my my E&O insurance. But let me just put it this way, that if you think it's odd that Christie would just loan this woman who just works sort of around him in a way, $40,000 just to help her out, and then appoints her to a job where she would take these international trips with him through the years. Of course, because they're. If you find that interesting in some fashion, I think you're going to probably you may want to dig into it. It's a 2009 piece, and I think all I know is there's a couple of people out there who are very upset that Christie cut them loose, and I imagine if I'm Jeb Bush, for instance.
Right.
I'm sending people around to talk to those people.
Sure. I mean, and he has. I mean, the thing is that you scratch on the surface barely, and all this stuff comes out. It doesn't even take looking that deep. So then you ask yourself, if you're willing to look deep, what the hell do you think comes out? Are there going to be some guys in cement slippers in the Hudson? I don't know, but Christie. It just seems the more you look, this guy's so dirty. It's so unbelievable that this guy was ever a U.S. attorney. It is just amazing.